Hello, welcome to lesson 56, List, the generic collection in C Sharp, brought to you by Ankpro Technologies. My name is Harish. In this session, we are going to learn what is the list collection, list generic collection in C Sharp. List is one of the generic collection class. In the last session, we learned the other important generic collection class called dictionary, and we saw the importance of it. Right now, we'll understand what the list is. List is present in System.Collections.Generic namespace, and list within the Angular braces T represents a generic collection class, and it stores the elements of the specified type. It grows automatically, and other advantages, it grows automatically. For example, if you store like list of within the Angular braces, if you give a int type, then list is having the capacity to only store the values of integer type, and the size can grow automatically. It's not that you have to specify the size at the initialization only. By default, whenever you add items, the size of the list grows automatically. And the list of T can store multiple null and duplicate elements. We'll see when we code in the Visual Studio. And similarly, list can be assigned to I list of T or list of T type of variable, and it provides more helper method when assigned to list of type variable. And how do I access a list? List can be accessed using an indexer, a for loop, or a for each loop. And Linq can be used with the query to query the list collection. And list of T is ideal for storing or retrieving large number of elements. This is some of the important points of list. Right now, without wasting much time, we'll jump into Visual Studio and we'll code for list. Okay, the first thing is, how do I initialize a generic collection class called list? It's very simple. You can initialize it in two ways. The first way I would like to show is list of type. What type of values my list want to store? It want to store the integer values, so I'm giving it as list integer type. Then I initialize a variable called int list equals new list of int. This is one way of initialization. I would like to type the second way also, and this is ilist. We'll see what is the difference between both once I complete this sentence. And this name is int list2, the variable name, and new list of list of integers. Okay, I'm done with my two ways of initialization. Let us discuss what are these two ways of initialization. The first statement, the first initialization, what you see here, it uses list type variable. You can observe here this variable is of type list type. But the second statement, the second initialization, it uses the variable of list type. Okay, and keep in mind this list type variable, this list is a concrete implementation of list interface. Okay, but in the object oriented program, it is advisable to uh, program to using this interface rather than this concrete class list type. So we have to use this list of type variable to create an object of this list type. Okay, keep in mind, in object oriented program, it is advised to use this list rather than this list type to create an object of list. So every time when we create an object of a list, we have to create it from the list interface itself. So as of now, I'll just delete this, and we have initialized our variable called int list. I'll name it as int list itself. Why? Because int list, and it is of the type list. Okay, and this is how we'll create an object of list type. Now once I've created my object, what is my next step? I have to add items to this list. How do I add? It's very simple. I'll use this variable name int list dot add int list dot add. I would like to add 10. Why? Because my list is only taking the values of integer type. I specified it earlier only. Similarly, if I add some other items to it, okay, I would like to change these values 30 plus 40. Okay, now once I've done with my initialization and added an items to the list, what is my next objective? To check the items whether present in the list or not. In the sense, we have to retrieve back the elements or see the elements present in the list. How do I do that? It's very simple. if you want to see the individual elements present in the list, suppose if you want to see that value 20 in the list individually, then how do I do it? You can access the individual element in the list by using the index number. Okay, how do I do that? It's very simple. I have to take console.writeLine, then call that respective variable, and the square brackets within that you have to give the index of this list. Like index always starts from 0, 0, 1, 2. If I want to see the third item, like if I want to see the 30, then I have to pass the index of it like 2, because index starts from 0. This is 0, 1 and 2, so I've given 2. Now when I run this program, obviously it will print 30 because 30 lies in the index of 2. Okay, this is what, if you want to see it individually. If you want to see, if you want to make use of for each loop to iterate this collection, then how do I do that? It's very simple. For each, okay, for each, and this is of int type, so I'd like to take int item, let it be the item itself, the variable name, and the collection here is int list. Okay, now I'll just scroll it up to make it clear, missing the brackets here. Okay, now once I'm done with that, I'll just print that item. Okay, now when I run this program, obviously it will print 10, 20, 30 and 40 on the console screen. Okay, this is what, that's what we wanted. Like we used for each loop to iterate the collection, that's what the output we got. But compared to ilist and list type is having more methods defined in it. So let us make use of one method called for each, which is present in it to iterate the loop. So I just remove the I here. Now it's of list type itself. Int list is of type list type. So what I'll do is I'll take int list dot, we have a method called for each. What is this method for each going to do? You can observe here, the for each perform the specified action on each of the element. So what I'll do is I'll just take like el, we have something like console dot, sorry, el, we'll make use of lambda expressions like el goes to console dot write line. We'll make use of each of this method to print, like each of the value to print on the console screen. So I'll just pass this el. Okay, once I'm done with what is this doing is, what is this respective lambda expression is doing? It's just printing numbers on the console. In order to do that, we use a method called for each method. What it does, it performs a specified action on each of the element. What is the action we have specified here? The action is something like el goes to console.writeLine a specific el, in the sense it will print the values 10, 20, 30, 40 on the console screen. Okay, when I run this program, it will print 10, 20, 30 and 40 on the console screen. This is the other important method which is present in the type list type, not the ilist, it's present in the list type. Okay, now I'll just remove this. We saw how to initialize a list, how to add items to list, and how to access back the elements individually, and how to make use of for each loop also. Right now we'll understand some of the other methods which are present in this list. Okay, let us jump into presentation, and here is a list of properties and methods. We have properties like items, that's what we saw, and count. Let us see what is count is, and we have some methods like add range. We'll see what add range is. Okay, what is this add range? Okay, now I'll initialize a list, and this list is of type t, integer. Okay, let it be of type integer. Come out, and I'll name it as int list of 2. The variable name is as 2, equals new list of type int. Okay, okay, now what did I do? I just initialized the list, and the variable name is int list of type list. Okay, now what I'll do, I'll add few items to it, like int list of int list 2 dot add few items, like I would like to add 70 or 50, sorry, 50. But I want these values, I want this list, this I list, int list values to print in my int list 2. Okay, in the sense I want to call this int list in my int list 2. How do I do that? So that we have a method called int add range. Okay, we have a method called add range. What is this add range going to do? It adds the elements of the specified collection to the list type. Keep in mind, it adds the elements of the specified collection to the end of the list type. So if I want to add this collection to my this collection, like if you want to add the collection int list to the collection int list 2, at that time we have to make use of this add range, and I have to simple, it's very simple, I have to pass the list name. So int list is the name. So my job is finished. What is this piece of, what is this going to do? It's very simple. It's going to print the values 10, 20, 30 and 40, as well as int list values also. This int list 2 values also, like it output will be like 10, 20, 30, 40 and 50. Now once I'm done with this, I'll use for each loop, where like int, the item will be the item itself, and the collection is uh, the collection is list of 2. Okay, now before doing that, what I'll do is, let me run this program once. Okay, okay, it's not doing that job. Okay, now what did I do? I just added the values like this. Once I'm done with this, what I'll do is I'll make use of the method which is present in that int list 2, like int list 2 dot, we'll make use of for each loop. Okay, then I'll tell like el, it goes to console dot write line, I'll print that el. That's all, my job is done. Okay, now when I iterate this loop, okay, it will print the values like 10, 20, 30, 40 and 50. Now when I run this program, it is printing like 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. 50 at the top. Why? Because I've added it at the earlier. So what I'll do, I'll just cut this and I'll paste it at the bottom of the first variable. So now when I run this program, it will print 10, 20, 30, 40 and 50. It means if you want to add the collection itself as a item to the other list, then we have to make use of add range method. Okay, this is one of the method, and we'll see some other methods, some important methods, not the all, like we'll see contains. Okay, what is this contains? I'll just remove all these things. Okay, int list dot, let me use some method called contain. What does this contains? Takes the parameter, it takes the item itself. So if you want to check like 30 whether this item is present or not, and this contains is of type bool, so I have to initialize a variable called s to hold the result of it, and when I print that s, this s will be having only two values like true or false, because it is of the type bool. If the 30 is there in this list, then it will give true, otherwise it false. As of now it will give true. Why? Because 30 is present there. Suppose we'll add an item which is not present in this list, like if I add an item called 60 which is not present in this, obviously it has to give false. Okay, and that is what the other important method which is present here. And we have another important method called clear. What is that clear doing? Like first we'll take a count of this list. We have important property called count. What is this count doing? Okay, and we'll learn two properties here, like count, as well as I would like to take two counts. Why? Because one before the clear and one after the clear. So int list dot clear is a method. Okay, now we are learning two important property as well as method here. Property is count and the method is clear. Initially it gives count as 4, but when we use the clear method, it's going to remove all the elements present in this list, and finally the count will get at 0. Now when I run this program, it has to give like 4 and 0. Yes, the output is as expected. That's what the work of count and the clear, we saw it here. And we'll see another important method like remove it and remove range. Okay, we'll see some of them, not the all. Okay, int list dot remove. Okay, what is this remove taking? A parameter. It's taking like int list dot remove. It's taking the parameter an item. So if I want to remove the 40 40th value, like the value 40, then I have to use this to do that work. So I'll use for each loop to iterate, and the type is int, and the collection here is int list. Okay, and console.writeLine, it will print item. Okay, when I run this program, obviously you'll get 10, 20, 30 because the 40th value is 40 value is removed. Okay, this is one of the remove method, and we'll just see like remove at. Okay, what is this remove at does? It takes the index. For example, since if you want to access elements, we make use of index here for the list. Similarly, if you want to remove also, we have to specify the index number. For example, in the last example, we saw like we removed the value 40. At this time we have specified the value directly, but instead of specifying the value directly, we want to specify the index here. So what is the index of 40? Like its index starts from 0, 0, 1 and 2 and 3. The index of 40th value is 3, so I'll pass 3 here. Okay, once I'm done with that, okay, this remove at method takes the parameter index of the list. Okay, so obviously I have to get 10, 20 and 30 because the 40 value is removed. This is one of the important method, and we'll see the other one method like true for all. What is this? It determines whether every element in the list matches the conditions defined by the specified predicate. Okay, we'll understand what that does. We'll jump into Visual Studio. Now what is my objective is what is this true for all does? This true for all, it takes some conditions, and it checks the condition for the list. Okay, in the sense, for example, int list dot, let us see, we have a method called true for all. No, it is not defined in this I list, so let us make this as only list, and if it is present in the list type, so if I use that method true for all, uh, okay, we have a method for here called true for all. This is defined in the list type, not the I list, keep in mind. Okay, when I use true for all, what is this taking? It is taking the predicate. Okay, what is predicate? In the coming session we'll learn what is predicate. As of now, you understand like predicate is one of the delegate type. What it does is it must take one input parameter, and and it returns the boolean value like true or false. It means whatever the parameter we're going to pass, it is going to give us the result like true or false. That's all, and we'll see what predicate in the coming session. Right now, this what is this true of all going to do? You can observe here. It determines whether every element in the list matches the conditions defined by the specified predicate. Okay, it here it takes the condition, and that condition should satisfy all the elements present in this list. If not, it gives false. If it is matched, it will give you true. Okay, now what is the thing we have to pass here? It's very simple. I would like to define a method called static bool. I would like to take like is positive int. Okay, then the parameters int high. Okay, it has to return something since it is of bool type. Return like the parameter is here is high. I of it should be greater than 1. Okay, obviously. Now for this true of all, I have to pass a predicate as a parameter. So here I would like to pass this method as a parameter. Done. Okay, now since this true for all is returning the boolean value, I have to store it in some variable. I'll store it in a variable called s. Now when I print s, the value will be present in that. Okay, yes. Okay, keep in mind what is the method we are going to use, which is defined in this list type. The method is true for all. What is this true for all does? It determines whether every element in the list matches the conditions defined by the specified predicate. Okay, here what we are trying to do is this true for all is going to check with this list. Okay, if this list matches with the condition specified here. What is the condition? Is positive int. What is this is positive int having? It is having a condition like it is checking these values 10, 20, 30 is greater than 1. Okay, that's what the condition is. Okay, once it is done, it will give you the value like boolean value, true or false. Now when I run this program, what it does, it will give you a true. Why? Because 1 is greater than these values. like 10, 20 and 30, one is less than 10, 20 and 30, 40. So it's giving us the value true. Suppose if I give the condition like 100 is not 100 is less 100 is not okay, the list values like 10, 20, 30 and 40 is not greater than 100, they are less than 100. So the value we'll get here is false. Why? Because 100 is greater than the list values. What are the values which are present in this list? 100 is greater than them, so it provides us the value false. This is what the true for all value going to do. What it is going to do, it determines whether every element in the list matches the condition specified defined by the specified predicate. We'll understand what predicate in the coming session. As of now, in this session we'll learn some of the important methods and some of the properties of the list. Okay, and finally, thank you for listening. Have a great day. Please subscribe to Ankpro training below.